So completing the square is when we put something in the form a brackets x plus h all squared and then plus a k at the end. So basically we're trying to find this bracket that's going to be squared by something that we need to complete the square. And if we think about this, what's going to happen if I square that bracket? So x plus h squared means x plus h times x plus h. So if I do x plus h times x plus h, I'll get x times x is x squared, x times the h is hx, that h times that x is hx, and the h times the h is h squared. And then I can see that these two in the middle are going to group together. So I'm going to get x squared plus 2hx's plus h squared. So when I multiply out this squared bracket, can you see that the middle part, the number of x's, are always going to be twice as big as this h. It's always 2h and that's an h. The end bit is h squared, so it's always going to be that number squared when I put it back into brackets. So let's look at an example of how we can use that rule to kind of work backwards to do one of these. So if I wanted to complete the square for x squared plus 6x plus 10, say. So what I need to do is I need to look at this number. And I say from above, if I want to have a 6x, so if we look at what we just multiplied out here by, we want this value here to be a 6x. So my h value in this case will have to be half of that. So into my brackets, I'm going to have to put x plus 3 all squared. And if you multiply that out, this is the bit you can be thinking about in your head, if I multiply this out, I'm going to get x squared plus 6x plus 3 3's give me a 9. So that's what I would get if I multiplied that bracket out. Now, I want a plus 10 at the end here. So if when I multiply that bracket out, I get x squared plus 6x plus 9, I need to then add another 1 onto that bracket to complete my square. And that is the square completed. X plus 3 all squared, add 1. I'll do one more example of that. If I had something like x squared plus, let's do x squared plus 8x plus 3, say. So again, think about what needs to go in your bracket. It's got to be an x, there's still a plus here, so that's going to be a plus. And half of 8, so it had to be half of that, is going to be a 4 in the brackets. And I'm thinking in my head, if I multiply that out, I'm going to get x squared plus 8x plus 16. What do I need to do if my final answer has to be that plus 3? Well, I need to take away 13. And that is your square completed. Now it gets a little bit more complicated when we've got an odd number in the x's. So if we had a slightly different value at the start, so let's say it's x squared minus 5x plus 2. When I'm going to complete the square this time, into my brackets, I'm going to put an x, it's a minus this time, so I'll put minus, and half of 5. Now rather than write it as 2.5, I'm going to keep it as a top-heavy fraction, so that's 5 over 2 squared. And then think, what happens when I multiply that out? I'd get the x squared, I'd get 5 over 2 doubled is just 5x's, and the last number, if I square it, is going to be 25 over 4. Now, how do I get from there back to this plus 2? And the easiest way to think of this is to say, well, I'm going to take away that 25 over 4, this bit, which will bring me back to a 0. So if I take away that 25 over 4, I've got a 0 coefficient at the end. And I want to get to plus 2, so I'm then going to add on the 2. And if we look at doing some simplifying of that then, I'll say, well, 25 over 4 plus 2, and without a calculator I can say 2 must be the same as 8 quarters. So minus 25 quarters plus 8 quarters. So minus 25, add 8 must be minus 17 quarters. And that is our square completed.